had bought some dark glasses for Horse, but I figured, well, it was time to go to the big city and be anonymous where no one could find us. So we came to Burlington, and he was picked up several times by canine. I'm just hitting the high points of his life. By canine control. In the days when they had that truck going around, because he did roam pretty free, and so he was about 14 years old when he started getting weak in the hindquarters and had a hard time walking and everything. And did you think of something, Amber, to say? No? Okay. Say what? Oh, okay. Well,
I want to relate a little story.
Yeah.
And I guess it just happened in the past year. I took Robin out. She delivered her car to the car place to be fixed, and I gave her a ride back into town. And Horace was with us, and she was going to go to a dance exercise class over on Church Street. And on the corner of, I was going up Winooski, and on the corner of College, she said, "Oh, we'll just get out here." And I said, "Well, what about Horace? Should I take him back?" She said, "Oh, no, he'll find his way back." And that just flabbergasted me. That he could just, he know the blocks, and he'd cross all the streets, and he'd know which streets to go up to get all the way back home. And that, to me, was an amazing little story.
Bad story.
Yeah, Horace became, in a way, human to me. He transcended avarice. He transcended arrogance. And while he was puddling around those streets, as Wendy says, knowing exactly where to go, he, in a way, became our God. He possessed no one, and he led a most wonderful life, reflecting the best part of the human condition around him. I think maybe Horace is one of the most admirable persons I've ever known.
Well, just one more story that I forgot is that when we lived on the farm, everyone was saying to me, "Well, I'd love a son of Horse," and a horse. And I was trying to make that happen whenever there was a female in heat, and it never happened. And then just last year, when he was the equivalent of 90 years old, it seems
this was incredible.
He was out, 3 nights in a row and came back
and
exhausted.
It was pouring rain.
Yeah, and had lost a tooth and this and that and the other thing. And
Robin
the incredible
was in Chicago.
thing, yeah, and Darcy was taking care of him. And the incredible thing was that the female, it was really love. I mean, she was a stray apparently, and she would wait at the bottom of the stairs for him to come down in the morning. And she was just so delighted when she saw him, and they would play. And then she lived under the porch, and she gave birth to how many puppies? 9 puppies.
And one that looked exactly like Buck.
And so they're all somewhere in Burlington now, probably.
And that was probably the high point of his life, as far as how he was just so rejuvenated and so happy again.
Well, he was for a while. When he first came back, it had been pouring rain for 3 days. He had disappeared. We didn't know where he was, and we heard this whimpering outside the door, and there was Horse huddled up in a heap. Patty found him at the bottom of the stairs, and he could hardly make it into the living room floor, where he collapsed and did not move for 2 days. She was shaking, he just was trembling, and then we covered him up with blankets. We were scared. We called the vet. We called Robin in Chicago. It was huge trauma, and he survived. He lived.
He was out again as soon as he
he was out a few days later, chasing the dog.
Well, I live half a block down the hill and half a block south. We were on Horse's appointed or regular rounds, so he made frequent visits, and he's characterized by being always a gentleman. He avoided fights with other dogs, and he treated us beautifully. He would come and visit, and then he'd go on to the next stop.
Yeah.
So we were always happy to see him.
He's a very social creature. He was at any large gathering, whether in City Hall or here.
And I think the kids at Edmonds really knew
They
him.
all knew him.
Claire mainly.
Almost
and,
all
Tom.
knew them. Mama, one kid said, first told me I couldn't get him to go home. And he said, go home. First he went home.
Well, I remember him as a Livingstone. He came quite regularly to Friends meeting and felt at home there and would often walk around. We would sit quietly, often with our eyes closed, but I could hear Horace walking around, changing his position, snoring, flapping his tail on the rug. That's my memory of Horace.
That was, yes.
I'll always remember Horace taking people for a walk. By putting his mouth over your wrist and just walking you along. Little role reversal.
Well, maybe we should move them over there then.
All of us will
I'm
be there.
burying my flower. I want some.
Rest well when he's down there.
Buried with him. Gonna put the baby.
His bones.
I think maybe a 2x2 is better because see, one person holding two sides like that. There we go. All right.
Put the kitten in.
Very well done.
Robin, put the kitten in.
Okay.
Your cup in there.
Whoops.
Sacrifice to the...
Do you have another piece of cloth that we can put over before we put the rocks in?
Oh,
Put over his lid?
oh, that's a good idea. Now we gotta put
The rocks behind you.
A little bit of dirt and then some rocks.
And each one is a symbolic shovel.
I mean, that is what's supposed to happen. You put it in dirt. I mean, we could put it in the metal box.
It was just so anticipating if they
let's
did have
put
some
the
rocks
other
and no dirt. So,
I'll do it.
Never done it, no. Come on.
Sky, you have to move.
February 6th. Oh yeah, I know.
Where's he been?
I didn't hear that, but in the freezer. I was the first. We have a big freezer. I need all these rocks you could bury because I need rocks for the borders.
That's a politician, squarely on both.
Well, you know,
Hey,
we've
wait,
been
that,
talking about
wait,
that
wait,
was a
wait. That rock and then that piece of marble there.
Here, Mom.
Hey, off the garden. Back in.
Yes, I know.
You can share that little shovel with Ian, okay?
Mommy, where is it? Where is it? That where it's her, okay?